Interview with Nisha Tandon, the 17th of December 2003. There we go. Okay, like I just mentioned, I'd like to start off with just your family background. And where were your parents born? Were they born in India? Or?
Okay, my parents originally were born in Pakistan, Lahore.
Right, okay, yeah.
They were brought up there. And my father's first half of the education was all in Pakistan.
Right, okay.
And but though their marriage took place in India, they had to move from, with the partition period, 1947, that time,
Yeah.
they moved. They had to go leave their homes and come to India. So they settled. My father settled in Shimla,
Yeah.
which is very close to Punjab. And my mother's family settled more in the middle of India, which is called Uttar Pradesh. Okay, she was, her education and everything was from there, and her parents came from that background. But they both were originally from Pakistan. Yeah.
Okay, and then when they were married, then did you?
When they got married, then they settled in Delhi because my father's job was in Delhi.
Okay, what was your father's job?
He was a manager. First of all, just a manager for National Green List Bank, which was the first. What we look at, British or European bank opened in India.
Okay.
But all the time you would have heard about Punjab National Bank or this bank or the Bank of India, I think. But that was the first international bank opened in India. And he was the manager at that time, and then he was promoted up to very high scale.
Yeah.
And my schooling, my education is all from Delhi.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and then got married. That was arranged marriage, and came and settled in Belfast.
Okay, can I just backtrack a little bit? Did your parents tell you many stories about, when the division happened and things
yes,
like that? What were their experiences?
Yeah,
about?
but I think my mum was too young to remember. Not too young to remember as such, but just sort of didn't want to have the memories, but because they were all bad memories, of leaving and all those sort of things, leaving your home and your good facilities behind and coming home with just like one suitcase. That's what she used to say, one suitcase, and the whole family sort of stayed together, so that they don't disappear. Because my mum family is quite a big, large family, but at that time, when the partition took place, there were only 3 brothers and sisters, but uncles and aunts and everybody had to vacate as well, so they all sort of stayed together, so they don't disappear or get lost. Actually, one of my great grandfather's brother, he disappeared. They never could find him. What happened to him? Still, they never could find him. But it probably was killed or dead or whatever. I don't know. So there were good memories of Pakistan as well, and there were very bad memories too of leaving home, and a lot of bloodshed and all that sort of stuff. They watched it all. They
saw everything.
Yeah, they seen it all.
So much. And so then you were educated in Delhi. How far did you go with your education?
I did all my schooling, and I did my college there as well. I was doing history, a BA, BA honours, but I didn't finish it as such because of the marriage happened before that. But I did do my Hindi in it, and I did my National School of Drama as well, my 2 years of that. Yeah.
Okay,
so I did 3 subjects, you see, so Hindi, National School of Drama, and history.
Okay, what was it like growing up in Delhi? Because it's quite a nice.
Brilliant!
City. It's a big city.
Brilliant! Yeah. Oh, very good. Yeah. Very, very good. Childhood was just amazed, but it was a culture shock when I came here to Belfast.
Did you come straight to Belfast?
Straight to Belfast, and it just was not on. It was just totally different way of living, way of life, way of everything was different.
How old were you?
I was only 18.
So you're very young.
Yeah, 18 when I got engaged and 19 when I got married. So I was very, very young, to even to know the real value of life and all that, because you just are too young to be settled at that time. And I wanted to finish my education definitely, and my mum wanted me to finish, but my dad was always wanting to say no, it's okay. As you know, in Indian culture, there is still some parents, they still do exist, and they say no for a girl of 18, or the minute she becomes a teen, they want her to be forgetting about real studies and go and do what the parents ask them to do, especially when it is a very male-dominating country, So that's what it was.
That's what happened. What was it like then? Did you travel over on your own, or did you fly over with your husband? Or?
No, actually, my dad's brother, he moved away from India in 1960 after his education and his college and all that, just for better prospect of, job, better money, better everything, So he moved away from India, and he was settled in Birmingham, Walsall, from 1960. And my parents decided, right, okay, we will go and visit and see whole of Europe, and we will go, our last resort will be in my uncle's house, and we will just stay and go and meet him and all those sort of things. Normally he used to come to India, but never got opportunity for us to come here. So we were all here whenever my engagement and all those sort of things took place.
It happened in
Birmingham, yeah. And then I went back home. That was in 1976. I went back home, and then I got married in 1977.
And was the wedding
The wedding was in India.
In India,
yeah.
Yes,
His parents and him went to India.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you came back, then you came straight to Belfast.
Straight to Belfast, yes.
So your husband, he was working here. Was he?
Yeah, he's
established.
Yeah, not really. I think he was only about 25, and I think he only had started his teaching career. I think it was second year of his teaching career. Yeah.
So he's a teacher.
He's a teacher. Yeah.
Oh, right,
he's a teacher. Yeah.
So what were the early days like then in Belfast? Because there wouldn't have been such a large Hindu community.
No. The only Hindu community I knew was my in-laws.
Right.
And that's about it. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anything. It was the local people who were your friends, who you had to make your friends, because you without friends you just cannot have life. And you have to get out and do all that. Though your culture, where you were coming from, you were brought up in such a society that your school friends, your relatives, your family, everything was so close, because India, that's the bond they had. But whenever you come to a different country, you have to start from absolutely scratch everything. And that was one of the snags. But had been brought up if I wasn't brought up in India, I wouldn't have that nerve to do it, so had to make new friends. And
so
there was no Indian friends, I'm afraid to say. No.
So how did you go about then making these new friends? Did you join
because as you know, that my husband was only a school teacher, and whenever I got married, we didn't even have a home to live in, so we were sharing our home. We were given a room by my mother, father, brother, sister-in-law, and I was sharing with her. But unfortunately, wanted something of your own. So to get something of your own, you had to either go into education, which I started to look for the minute I came in the country, and then started to look for a job. And I was very, very lucky. I came in the country in August 1977, and I went into a course in September, started a course in September, and then I went and looked for a job, and end of September I had a job, you know, but it wasn't really high flashy things, you know. You was working just in a hairdresser, because hairdresser, you know, you can get, but that was my stepping stone,
right,
you know, going into a college
people.
and going into, you know, a job place where you were only working maybe 3 times a day or 3 times in a week or whatever, you know, but you had that you know, opportunity to talk to people and get to know them, and they want to know about us, you know, so that's how you started to know people.
So what did you do for, you know, like Indian groceries, or, you know, any small things you might need for your puja or for anything like that?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah, at that time I wasn't a vegetarian, okay, and it wasn't a problem, and I didn't mind living on English food, but my aunt, actually, who was in Birmingham, she used to parcel me over the stuff, you know, on monthly basis, and spices, and, you know, few bits of lentils and things, and I started to go to her as well, but obviously I couldn't afford to go by air, so whenever Friday come, you know, your job Friday afternoon, whenever you finish your job, you take ferry over, you know, the overnight ferry, go on Saturday, stay there on Saturday and come back on Sunday, and then start back your work on Monday morning, you know. You know, was doing that for a couple of years, but maybe basically going like once a month or something like that, visit, just to visit, because I was so homesick. And you couldn't even think of going to India those days, you know, because everything seemed so expensive. At the minute we don't have value for money, you know, because if you want to go to India, you come out your Visa card and you can go with no problem, you know, pay later, buy now and pay later type of thing. But in those days you couldn't, because you were earning and you were sort of, you know, putting your money aside to get a better home and better something, you know, so it was just...
What did the community do those days then for like festivals like Janmashtami or Diwali?
There was something, because as you know that the Indians here came in 1940s as well, you know, 47, you know, the earliest Indians came at those time, and they made a small association of like 10-15 families, and they used to gather, right? But those 10-15 families now started to expand, you know, and how are they going to do all those festivals and religious things in people's homes? Because that's what they were doing. They were going to each other's homes and doing Diwali celebration, and all 15 families will get together in one home.
Right.
You know, it was something like that was happening. But as the families grew, they were getting married, and they had then, you know, it was growing more and more. Then there was a need of a center or a worship place. So these key 15 families got together and bought this building, which we are sitting in, and this came on board 1981. The building was officially bought in 1979, but then it just took that long for the paperwork and all those, because it's a listed building. So it took that long for them to get this all meet to the standards of our own needs, and we made a worship place in here, the temple. At that time it was only a temple, it wasn't a community center, you know, so there was a place now for people to come, gather, worship and socialize, you know. And then from that onwards, from 1981 onwards, then they started to put a little bit of like a community center awareness as well, where there will be somebody here on voluntary basis or something like that to open the door for people to come in whenever they want to deal, you know, if they want to go for visa, or they want to go for this, they want to go for that, how to go, because there were certain people who had English or no English, you know, and to help them, to serve them, and to be known in the local society as well.
Okay.
Those are the things which started to take place.
Yeah. So you seem very involved in the community centre at the moment. How did that come about?
Yeah. In 1981, whenever the inauguration of our temple took place, we did a little bit of religious things as well. And I, coming from a background of drama, dance, and all those sort of things. So we put quite a lot of things together, and then they said, "You're the type of people we're really looking for. We can do something for our kids." You know. So I started to, with one of my friend, who was a Japanese girl, who was here doing dance in Queen's University. She was a lecturer. So we started to put something together, both of us, and started to run children's club on Saturday mornings. And we were here basically all day on Saturday doing things for kids, and that's how I started to get involved. And I think I would say that I was a volunteer for about 20 years, and this is from last 4 months or 6 months I've got the job. I was employed. You know, so one of the girls was leaving, so I took her.
So you come in then?
Because I was running a business, and the business wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, and it was just sort of taking too much pressure, too much stress. So I thought, okay, the committee approached me to say that this is going to happen. Do you feel that you are capable of coming? I said, well, I can give you my CV and you can look around. But before that, I have been involved in the local community, promoting our Indian culture in many ways. You know, doing a lot of radio, TV programs and things like that. So they said, yeah, why not? So that's how I came about. But I've been volunteer for the Indian Community Centre for nearly 20 years now.
Okay. Just moving on now, because you're obviously involved a lot with all the community work. But I wanted to ask you now about your own personal religious practices. You know, all your traditional things that have come through in your family, and also things that have developed just for yourself personally. About those beliefs? Yeah,
I actually, in the early stages of my life, I was never ever religious. You know, I just wasn't into it at all. Well, I was, but not in a big way. Like I would see my mother getting up and doing her prayers and doing all those sort of things. My mum and all that they're not very religious. You know, they do believe, but they don't believe it in an extent that they have to celebrate each and every day in a festive manner, you know, which the Hindu calendar, if you would see, there's so many, my God, you know, but no, they had the core ones, and the, you know, the real good, you know, the ones which the whole entire community will practice. So those are the key ones, you know, they would do those. And that's why my dad was actually not religious at all. So my mum and my granny, I seen them being so I learned from them. But whenever I came to Northern Ireland, started to get involved in the temple bit of here, I found that everybody was so religious, you know, and it was just everything. Everyday life was the religion here, you know. And I said to myself, is it right or is it not right, you know? But I started to take the good points out of it and started to practice those. And till then, I have started to practice. But I don't take religion as a big thing. I am very proud to say that I am a Hindu, and I do worship and I practice the teachings of Hinduism. But what I am, and I will not, and I will very openly talk about Hinduism with an open mind, you know, but I would not say that one is good and one should not be, you know, no way. You know, it's what you are and what you believe in, and that's the way I would keep. But again, I do not celebrate every day in the Hindu calendar. You know, some people this day and age as well, living in this country, are doing it. Their life rotates. If the sun is out, moon is down, fasting for this, fasting for that. No, I don't believe in that, and I don't allow my children to believe in that as well.
Does your family have like a guru or a specific murti that they worship or anything?
They don't have a guru, no, but my mum would be a believer of all, okay, but we are strong believers of Durga, you know, so we do, and Krishna too. And Diwali, as you know, everybody celebrates.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just want to ask you some general questions about Hinduism. The caste issue comes up, regularly, issues about
That's
that.
loads of.
Do you think that it's kind of fading out now, issues of caste or marrying into certain families or things like that? Do you think that's
it's happening in modern days now. Yeah, the caste system plays a big important role, but only in that generation. The new generation, it doesn't. A new generation is very, very sort of assertive and knows and motivated in their own ways, and they know what they want. So nowadays the love of your life plays more important role than caste system. Arranged marriages are there, but they are fading away as well. So that's what's happening. But yes, it's a very, very big feeling, a very big move as well for a Hindu to get married to a Muslim, or a Muslim to get married to a Hindu. That will always be a big issue because they're two different religions. But within a Hindu, a caste system, it doesn't really matter.
Not anymore.
No.
And what about the youth of today? Do you think that they're more or less religious than, say, when you were a teenager?
No, they're not.
You don't think? Why do you think that?
Because if you're saying youth of today, born and brought up in UK, yeah, they're not. First of all, I would say parents are the ones to blame for that, because whenever they came here, they came with one intention, and that intention was to make money, and they were very business oriented. So they left, especially in Northern Ireland. I'm talking about Northern Ireland perspective here. They did sort of not play much important role for religion at all, and their kids were born and brought up in an environment which was totally local culture. And now that generation which has grown up is totally not Hindus at all. They're colour Hindus. They are, their colour is different, but their beliefs are of the local. And what has happened is then the second, third generation which has come, the girls have come, or the boys have come from India. All right, and the girls who have come to marry to the local subject, they can only do so much, right? They're trying to preserve, but still the kids who are born and brought up, there's very little Hinduism being taught or told about. Even in our temple, we do not have a priest who can speak both languages and preach Hinduism, give teaching classes and do all those sort of things to our children. And you do things like that in a thematical way, but it's not always right to do things like that. So that they have lost, the third generation is totally lost, because again they've been born and brought up, they have more local friends than what they would have otherwise, and that is lost. So it's not lost from this generation, it is lost from your second generation, third generation. Third generation now is getting married to more of people born and brought, local, mixed marriages, which is then also taking the diminishing role of Hinduism. Definitely is happening, and it is going to happen more and more until we start to preserve it and do something about it.
Okay. Do you think it's important for the youth to maybe learn their mother tongue? Do you think that's important?
I think it's very important. That is part of your culture, but we are not doing that again. Why we are not doing that again is that second generation, only one member of the family can speak proper mother tongue. Could it be the girl brought from India or a boy brought from India? Okay, they can speak, but they are trying their best to preserve that with their children, but it's not happening, because the kids feel that no, if dad can speak or mum can speak, why should we be speaking? So we are lost again there. It's sad, but it's happening. Though we have a language class which goes on here and every Sunday, and only a handful of children come.
Just a couple of final questions then. How do you identify yourself now? Because you're Indian, born in India, lived in Northern Ireland for a considerable amount of time, practicing Hindu. If somebody was to ask you, what is your identity now? What do you
I'm
say?
a Hindu, I'm Indian, a very, very big yes for that. I am definitely a Hindu in my ways, in my beliefs, and everything, as I said to you. But I'll preach as much as I can my religion, and I'll tell my children about it as well, because my kids can speak both languages, Hindi and Punjabi, and they know what are the rights and wrongs of Hinduism. They don't practice Hinduism, but they do celebrate whatever my religious events are, the key events which I do, festivals at home. They do understand, they do celebrate, and they are also proud to be Indian, but they don't associate outside their own four walls that their identity is Indian, because they have lost that identity, By colour, yes, but with their passport, no. So you're lost there.
Yeah. And where do you see as home?
I would say, whenever I say I'm going back home. And that is India. And I have always said to myself that I will serve and I will live and I will do whatever I have to do here, because obviously my partner is here, and my children are here, but I have all my intentions when I go back and settle in India. I would just love to do that. And I'm just waiting for me to retire and I'll go, because my kids will be all settled and they will not they will have either good jobs or married to somebody or whatever. I mean, I don't know what's going to be. Sonia, my oldest, has got a good job. Natalie's working to it, and Christian's doing his GCSE. So there will be, they will be settling in life. And once they are settled, I have nothing more to do. I want to do what I want to do after that. So at the minute, I am just sort of family bound. But once my family's all settled, I have all the intentions of going back.
Okay. Yeah. And finally then, do you have any message for people who will be listening to this interview in the future? Either people doing research on Hinduism and Hindu beliefs, or it could be your future generations want to hear
Keep
something
at it,
like
yeah. Keep at it, but not just the research side of things. Let's do more about to preserve our Hindu religion and Hindu culture, and let's see how let's make some issues that we can reach the youngsters, which is very important, because it's happening in mainland, especially in Gujarati families. They are very, very good. They are preserving their Hindu culture, and they're preserving their, I don't know how to do it, but I find in Punjabi people, it is diminishing. I don't know, maybe the Punjabis themselves are very liberal in their ways of living, and that's why, or they are not true practicers of Hinduism, and that's why it is diminishing. I don't know, I don't have the right answer for that, but that's my own opinion, on that. But I will do anything to preserve our religion and Hinduism. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.